Yeah, so we're back to Android Studio. So I'll try to add RecyclerView, and then I want it to be 0dp, and I want it to wrap its content. So basically, Android gives you dummy data for it once you create a RecyclerView to give you these values. I want it to be on the start of the parent, and also on the end. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is, if you set the width to 0, once you use this, Android Studio will intuitively try to use as much space as possible. So to force the view to take all the space possible on the parent. So it's just like adding match parents. But this is good for use cases where you want to use percentages to distribute your views. So if you force everybody down to 0 and you're forcing them to chain vertically somehow, let's say we're using height of 0 and we're saying they should chain each other. So effectively what they will try to do is take equal spaces on the screen. Now, if I want one to be bigger than the other, me setting it to 0 allows me to be able to assign a larger percentage of the screen to that particular view. But if I had used maybe a wrap content, yes, the view, the surrounding will take that space, but the view in itself will not leverage the space I just gave it. So now okay, I think I need one more. Parent. Yeah, so we have this at the top, and then this guy cannot find who he should be at the bottom of. So we'll tell it ID task recycler, and then tell it to be the bottom of task recycler. Yeah, so that's fine. So to effectively use a recycler view, you need, let me see, how many things do we need? The recycler view itself, an adapter class, then an adapter view. So we'll go ahead to create the adapter view now by right-clicking here and add a new layout file. So what do we want to be the parents? Well, all we did only requires, yeah, so let me leave it at constraint layout. It requires maybe 2 views. So I will say bio list item. So when you are creating adapter views for recycler views, if it's going to be a list like we're going to have here, it is advised you add this name to it, but give it the name of whatever you're trying to model, and then append list item at the end, like I'm doing here. So this will work very fine, and try to adopt that convention too. So I have this. I want 2 text views. Let me see if I can try this. I'm not a fan of using the design view. I prefer writing the code somehow. Yeah, so yeah, so this is fine. And like I said, so for this view, what I did effectively, if I can go in so that we can see, if I move this one down, it's adding a margin. If I pull it back up, so what I did is, wherever the top of this one is where the top of this should be. So this is not constrained to the top of the parent, it's constrained to the top of this view. So anywhere the top of this is, this will fall in line. So this is good for cases where you want 2 views to stay side by side. and you want the control to come from a particular view, I can even decide to say wherever the bottom of this view is, take the bottom. So that way they will be centered together. So let me see. I don't want the amount of margin at the top. 24 dp is fine. And to the start, let's say how many now? Let's say 24 still. And then this should have 24 at the end. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I can see this is what I have. Okay, vertical. This right here, this angle, this need to start. Oh wow. So okay, and then vertical bias. Start to into the end of. Yeah. Okay. So so in our fragment second, I can decide to see how this will play out. Okay, there's one other thing I can show you. So instead of using this text view and text view, we can use tool here. So tools, text, and this I'll tell it sample. So you can see it's showing me sample here. I'll tell it to pick first name. So to generate a random name and put there. And tools, text, last name, or full name. So this is a fun way to allow you to be able to see things as you test. We'll now see where it becomes useful. For here, you can decide to see what your recycler view will be by adding a layout resource file, because the adapter will use a layout resource. You can see we have here list item. And adding list item, I can say bio, and we can see it use this all through. But for some weird reason, this is trying to take the whole screen. We'll see why here. We said the layout should match parents and is a list. So everybody will try to take the full screen. So we can fix that by saying wrap contents. And then if I'm doing wrap contents, I can decide to take this out of here and this out of here and just tell the parents to give a particular margin. So if I come back here, I'm able to see it as I want it to be. So this is showing me how my list will be. And does this actually look nice? If you ask me, I will say no. So you can decide to take the end dependency out of this and then empty this, back to this, take this out. Tell it that maybe that's you. Yeah. So start a parent. This what is this? Vertical reverse 0 0 is not happening. Since they are chained together, I can try to use a horizontal chain style and tell it to pack. Why is this always going back to yeah, so you can add a margin start here of 40 bp. Yeah. Okay, so I think I know why I was shooting myself everywhere. This was why. Like I said before, when you're chaining views and you don't chain them well, constraint layout will not really understand what you want it to do. So here I've assigned 0 and 0 to this, but I want this to have smaller spacing. So I'll assign width parameter. So horizontal width is what I'll use to tell it, okay, let's say I'm splitting the screen into 3, or let's say 2. I want this to take 0.6, and I want this other one to take 2.4. Yeah, so this forces this guy down. I can use 1 and 2. That's much better, yeah. So this creates some uniform spacing, but if I was using wrap contents, I won't be able to achieve this. Then the thing around bias that I was trying that was not working is mostly because I told it to wrap its content. And since it's wrapping the content, this bias will not really work. But allowing it to allow the parent decide how we want to lay it out, we're able to do a lot more and make it a little bit beautiful. Come back to fragment second, it looks this way now, and everything feels like on a straight line, which looks neater. So, so the next thing is, once we're done with this, we need to create a Kotlin file, and we'll name it biorecycler adapter. Type is class. Yeah, so from here now, creating a class, you need to, for Kotlin, you're able to decide right on what you want your class to be able to carry and parameters you pass in your constructor. Anything you have, okay, let me start over. Your class like this has what we call a default constructor. The default constructor means I can call this class here, let's say biorecycler. Come on, okay, that should happen here. I can say biorecycler adapter like this. And anybody I'm trying to use it in will understand it. So let me go and call it in, say, second. Here, I can say something like val adapter equals biorecycler adapter. So this is a default constructor. It doesn't take any argument. It doesn't do anything. But it will create an instance of this class. So you can see that the class is saying it's been called somewhere. But since we want to create a recycler adapter, we have to extend a view. So the view we have to extend is RecyclerView dot adapter, and this has to be initialized here. But this takes in a parameter. If you use Command P, this doesn't work here. So It expects that you pass something like a particular type. So a type is more like an object that is supposed to hold every view for you. So we'll create that type now. So that means I missed one. We need actually 4 things. A view holder. So we name that bio view holder. That was also a class. This will also extend something from RecyclerView, which is a view holder. But a view holder expects a parameter, a view. I mostly like naming things like this. Yeah, so because the viewer, the object you are extending, going to this class, it expects that you pass a parameter for your view. So that's why we have to pass a parameter to our view holder, and it has to be of type view. So whatever we're passing here has to be of type view. So once that is done, we need to be able to do 2 things. For me, I will create a function here. So to create a function, you need the keyword fun and the name. So what this will do is we'll take whatever object you pass in and use it to populate this view here. So assuming we're not putting any value here, but want it to be able to get the values as we populate our recycler view. So what we want to do is bind an item. So we can say item any. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create an object again that carries the 2 values you want, the key and the value. Because what this layout is showing is a key and a value view. So effectively, we'll come back here and we'll create another class, bio item. So this is of type class, but we don't need all these generics here. It's only going to take 2 items, val key, type string, and val value, and is also type of string. But since we know effectively that this is only taking values, it's not doing anything that a normal class will do, like we're having here, extending this view, doing this other thing, or going around like that, can effectively make this a data class. So what making it a data class helps us with is, it helps us generate functions internally. It generates the toString method so that you can print this class as a string. To generate equals method for equality when you're trying to check if one bio object equals another bio object. And a lot of other items like that are created by default by just adding this keyword data. So if we go back to our view holder class, we can change this any now to bio item. And in doing that, we have 2 text views. I can say, so there's this fun thing I want to show us here. It's a function, but we can say the function is equal to a width parameter. Now this width allows you to take a view and use things inside it. Okay, so let me give an instance. Let me go back to this default way. So this default way, I will do item view dot text view 1, and then I say dot text and set that text value to item dot key, and then I'll do item view again, text view 2, and do the text and do item dot value. So this effectively are you following? Let me know if I'm taking anybody along and I'm just going on my own. Hello?
Please. Hello.
Are we following?
Yes. Please come back, sir. Please come back, sir.
Come back to what point?
To the class you created.
Which one? I created a few classes. So I've created bio view holder, bio
The bio
recycler
is
view adapter, and
the
bio.
bio is where we extended the place we extend. That's the place I lost. I lost from there, sir.
Okay, so we did an extension here,
Okay,
and
sir.
we also did another extension here. So which one?
The first one, sir.
So this one, we're extending adapter because we want to create a view holder adapter of our own that will help
Okay.
us in adding views into the recycler view, which we will see shortly. So it has to extend this particular class of the recycler view to be able to help us with that function. But this requires a view of type view holder, which led us to creating this view holder class. And it's in
Okay.
this view holder class that we'll do our binding of data to,
We initialize our data. Okay, sir.
yeah, our data to this layout file.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so that's basically what we did. Then we created this item to hold the values we want to set in the data. I hope that's
Okay,
clear.
that's a class.
Yeah, this is a class.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next thing we want to do is come back to the adapter class and provide our view holder type. So we've passed that, and that is cool. But for a recycler view, you need to override some methods or functions. Method and functions are interchangeable, even if they are not the same thing. But as we go on, we'll get to know what difference they have. So I can just, like I said, this bubble, always look out for the bubble. It can give you solution that will fix your problem. So it's telling me I have two options. I can make this class abstract, or I can implement the methods. So I'll choose to implement the methods. These are the three methods I must implement to clear the error. So I'll just control click the three of them and select OK. So once I do that, my error is gone. So what we need to do for these three is, so for create view holder, this is where your view key, this view holder option that you added here. This is the class it uses to create the view holder. So what we'll do here is we'll have to return a type that matches bio view holder. So we'll do return bio view holder. Now to create an instance of bio view holder, you remember I said you have to pass a view into it. So we need to create that view. So to create that view, the way to do it here is to call layout inflator and tell it to populate from a context. In Android, we always require context, like almost always require context. So context is like, in what scope do you want me to do this? What's the scope you want me to use? Should I use the activity lifecycle scope? Do I use this, just the view that you're trying to create, the scope for that view? So more like what, like, so this comes useful when the device is trying to clear memory, trying to ease off resources and provide resources for other things you want to do in your app, or other apps need resources. So it knows how to effectively clear your app without causing a crash. That's basically what context allows you to be able to achieve. So with Kotlin, we're able to shorten a lot of things. I can just call parents and get the context of the parents. Now, once I do that, I need to now inflate. So inflate is just like saying bringing the layout file to life. So what layout file are we trying to bring to life? That's the bio underscore lists underscore item. In what container do you want to put it? You can see it's showing you the options you can use to create this view. So it's either you use resource view group, then resource view group. So the root of the view, the root here will be the parent. And then the last thing is, we don't want it to attach it to the root, so we tell it to go false. This is still not working here. So next thing is, we want to pass the items that we want to show in the recycler view. So we'll say private val items, and we'll say lists. Since we know our item type will be bio items that we just created now, so we'll put a list here. So the next thing is, you need to tell the recycler view the number of items it is creating for you in itself. So it needs to know how to call them, because you can see something here around position, something here around view order. So it needs to know how many it has to create. Are we following? So it needs to know how many it needs to create. So, but to do that, we'll return items, the size of the item array. So that's the entirety of the number of items we want. So the last thing we want to do is to now actually do the view binding and put the data in the view. So effectively, we'll call holder.bind, which is the function we created in this view holder, this bind. But we know the function takes parameter of type item, bio item. So here we need to pass items position. So this will effectively do something for us. You guys know we're passing a list. Please, you guys can unmute yourselves and give responses when needed. So I know we're all just following. So I'm unmuting everybody. We're not much. We're just, I think maybe 4 of us here. So we should be able to do this. So this helps us do something here. We passed in a list. So let's say our list has 9 items. So each of those items have a position in the list. So what this will effectively help us do is get the item at the particular position we want to do binding for. So whatever item corresponds to that at this point is what it will bind to particular view that was created here. So effectively here, we're done with this use case. And the next thing we need to do is to come to this view, second fragment. So in our second fragment, I'll try to create a small function here. Fun, populate, and then this function will return a type of lists bio item. So this is where I'm creating my list that I want to pass into the recycler view. So what I'll do is return list of. So this list of effectively creates a list for me. So since my list will be of type bio items, I'll do bio item. Sorry guys, I'm very lazy with typing. Let me even the string. So I'll just copy and paste. Yeah, so I need 4 of them. So this will hold value full name. This will hold email address.
I don't know.
Slack user. And the last one is tracks. Yeah, so I want to pass this corresponding string resource full name. I'll go and modify them shortly, Sha. So it's telling me I have an error. It's expecting a string, and I'm giving it an integer value. So to correct that, there's a function called getString. So in your Kotlin file, if you want to get a resource like this, there is a string, you need to call this method getString. That will go into the string resources and provide it in your Java class, your Kotlin class. So getString. Email address, yeah. GetString. Slack username. Get yeah, so what we now want to do again here is on view created, we've called this, okay, yeah. So here we will now do that with operator again, and we'll call the recycler view name. Bio recycler, is that the name? Let me go back, I can't remember. Okay, task recycler. Task recycler. Yeah, so this gets us the recycler view. So this is leveraging on something we have here. Let me go to where we have it. You can see these Kotlin extensions. Can we see it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so these Kotlin extensions allow you to be able to do things like what I just did now. Instead of calling this find view by ID, button this, I can decide to take everything here and it will work fine. Yeah, so after that, we'll do this. So what we want to set for a recycler view, things you have to set is your layout manager. And since it's a list, we'll call, there are three types. You have linear layout manager. Let me see if I can get them. So you have grid layout manager, staggered grid layout manager, and linear layout manager. So this is the one we're using. And this can take 3 variables depending on, or even 4, depending on how you want to do it. You can just pass a context again, and that's fine. You can pass context and decide the orientation, whether you want it to go vertically or to go horizontally. And you can decide whether you want to reverse it so that it starts from the bottom and not from the top, however you want to do it. So for this use case, I will be passing just context. And to get the context in a fragment class, the best way to go around it is called require context. So to get you a context. So this is more like a safe way to get a context. So if you check the implementation, all it does is create a context from get context. And if context is null, it will throw an error. If not, it will give you the context. So that way you don't need to do all the checks yourself. It checks already if the context is null. So the next thing we want to do is for this list, we're very sure that we have 4 items. So we can effectively tell it to have fixed size. So this helps with speed of display for recycler view. So if you are very sure beforehand of how many items you have in your recycler view, it's a very good practice to add this line. So the last line we want to add is our adapter class. So what we'll be doing is we'll be referencing bio adapter, and this takes in a list. So we'll call our function here populate. So populate will effectively run this and return this. So effectively what will happen here is when populate runs, it will just set itself to this value. And in our adapter class, that's what the adapter class is expecting, a list. So from our second fragment, I think we've done this. We can effectively go and run now. Okay, I think it has installed. Let me share that screen. I'm hoping we see a crash. If we don't see one, I'll try to create one. So from here, we click next. We're able to see the list. So let me try to force a crash here. How do I do that? How do I do that? What's the easiest way to force a crash? Everything here seems so very basic that forcing a crash, it won't even build. Anything I try to do here that will force a crash will most likely not build. So there's no way to actually force a crash. That's annoying.
On it now.
Okay, so an optimization, we'll see that we have full name. So I can effectively go to my string resources and remove this, remove this, remove this. Aha, so this is where the error thing comes. You can see that it's trying to call a reference to something called Abdul. But adding this will make it escape that art, and art will be a character on its own. Yeah, so we're fine. What else can we try to do? Something came to my mind and it just left. I can't remember. So yeah, so this is it. So we have two options. I can either read. Sorry, you're seeing my emulator, Abi?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I made changes.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Yeah, I made changes. So let me reshare that screen. Yes, so I'm back here.
Not yet, sir.
I'm not back. Good.
Yes. Okay, now back. We're back now.
Okay, so all I did was remove the full name that was here before, the email address that was here. And I was saying here, the moment I removed Slack username and left this, the resource will not find it again. Why? Because it's trying to use this art to look for a directory called Abdul and try to find whatever I'm doing here. So if I use this backslash, then it's able to see art as a character itself. So that's what I was trying to explain earlier. But since I was trying to do that directly, it wasn't a problem. So I was saying there are two ways to do this. I can rerun the entire app by clicking this, or I can just update the app. So it will just apply these changes and restart the app. But there are two levels to it. Sometimes Android Studio is able to do this fine without any issue. Sometimes it's not able to do it. And I think right now it will not be able to do that. So that's one case. Then the second thing is everything and every time you use this restart, it doesn't recompile the entire app. It just makes changes to the affected screen. So when you disconnect, the app that was installed on your device will hold what you use this to build. It won't hold all the changes that were loaded with this. So if this was the last thing you used and you made some changes and it was able to rebuild, it's just for your testing run. If you wanted to actually update the app in entirety, you have to use this instead. So let me try this, and I'm hoping it fails because I changed something in the manifest, or it didn't fail, so it applied. So I'm going back to the screen now. So we're able to see that everything is formatted properly. We don't have the redundant full names, email. So this is a way you can use the RecyclerView for yourself. But in the next class, we'll get to see more around. Going back to Android Studio now. So we'll effectively see how you can better optimize this. So here we did manual addition of the file. What if you have a case where your data is in a particular file and you have to load the file? Or let's say you're fetching that particular resource from the internet or from somewhere that somebody has created a backend resource for you, and you need to pull that list from there. So we'll look at those other options in the following classes or subsequent classes. So there's another suggestion here that since populate is only called in this class, we can make it private. So I can just decide here and tell it to do it. Error is gone or warning is gone. So since I've done this and my project is already on GitHub, I can effectively push this to GitHub. So how do I do it? Once you've done that, this will show differently on your view. It's most likely going to be a green check mark and a blue arrow facing down. For this will be a blue arrow facing down, and this will be a green check mark. So I'll click on commit to show me all the files that I added, everything that I've made as changes. And then I will say optimize code, add RecyclerView implementation for task. So I can decide to either commit or commit and push. So if I commit, okay, so I've showed that we can do this. Okay, so yeah, so I'll do commit and push. Yeah, so I'll do commit and push. So this brings me here. Effectively, my commit is done. It has committed this to the repo, local, not the one on GitHub. So there are two versions of your repository. At every time for a project like this, or any project you're doing, there's a local copy that you have on your system, and there's the one that you have online. So when you do commit, it updates your local copy, but your online copy is still where it was before. So I want to show another thing. So if we had just selected commit in the last one, we're done at this point. So to push, I need to go to VCS and come to Git, then go down to where I have push. You could see that before when we came here, there was no Git. But because this is now a GitHub repo, I can see Git as an option here. So I'll go to push, which brings up this same page. But I want to create a new branch. So I'll just recycler option. This will effectively create a new branch on my repo. You can see that it already knows that on my repository, I don't have a branch called recycler option, and it's telling me that if I leave it like this, it has to create a new branch. So if I want that, I can let it go and just push. Yeah, so it has successfully pushed. And if I come back to, I'm going to my browser now to show you the repo. So I can see immediately that there's another branch that was created. And if I come to my list of branches, let me reload. I'm able to see that I have 2 branches. And I'm on the second branch now. And everything we did, you can see effectively all the files I changed. They are the ones with the different commit message. Yeah, so I can say that completes it for this class. Thanks for those of you that were able to stay till the end. I hope you're able to pick a thing or two from the class. And if you have questions, you can always hit me up. I might not respond immediately, but I'll always get back to you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, it's Anselm. Sir, please, can this video be on the YouTube, because I missed most of the
Yeah, it will
classes.
be on YouTube. I'll get you to, so you add it to YouTube.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so again, with the code will be on Code Labs, like the first one we
No,
did.
there will be no code labs for this one.
Okay.
That's why
Okay,
we're
just
holding
it.
classes like this. So the next
Okay.
class will explain a bit more, and then we'll keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Sir, another question.
yeah.
For the tax, sir, are we to create an empty activity, or we're just going to use basic activity as you use here?
No, it's optional, your choice. I will allow you to decide how you want to go about it. But then design will be penalized in next task. So you have to be cautious about your, but you will see how you can beautify your apps as you're moving. You see how you can codify your apps and do a lot of other things as you move in subsequent classes. Yeah, I know
Okay,
there's
sir.
a lot of questions around this RecyclerView implementation. They're very much welcome. Threads about it. Please don't spam the whole channel. Just thread it and tell every other person questions around that to go create a conversation around it. Whenever I see something like that, I'll go in the thread and add my own contributions too. So we'll keep everything tidy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night,
night,
sir.
sir.
And thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Stop share.